Hi everyone, this is Killshot from 999 Gaming. This is Fear the Walking Dead Season 5, Episode 14. Where is the fear? We did our reaction video last night. Thought we had a pretty thorough covering of the show, but we're going to dig down a little bit more, not only with last night's episode, but we're going to start and just go through kind of the synopsis of all the shows this season and kind of pick those moments where fear got a little bit funny. So I'm going to need some help from each and every one of you before we start. Just want to give a special shout out to the Patreon Army. Thank you so much to the Patreon Army. You guys are absolutely amazing. It is great to be back hanging out with each and every one of you. I posted a few pictures, a couple of videos, and even a taunting Will the Bill photo. I sent him a picture of the Atlanta Braves Bar and Grill in Hatfield Airport in Atlanta. As I was coming back from Aruba, just had to snap that photo. Literally, I was in the airport like 10 minutes. If I'd have been there longer, I would have reached out to Bill and I would have went ahead and paid him the beer in advance that I'm probably going to lose because Fear the Walking Dead does not like to kill anyone. So we'll see. We got a couple more episodes to go. So based on last night, those of you that I saw a lot of the scores that were out there. You know, there were a lot of 5s, 6s, 7s. So after we did the reaction video last night, there's no Talking Dead. Did any of you have a chance to sort of absorb the show and change your numbers at all? Anybody like it a little bit more after talking about it? Anyone dislike it a little bit more? Let me get your thoughts. If you guys want to go ahead and score it again, that's fine. We can score it again. I just want to see if after 24 hours, if the vibe has changed a little bit. A 7 because of great. Is that higher or lower, Ellis? Mariah gave it a 7.9. Kevin's still staying with a solid 4, still 8.5. Jack, I liked it, solid 7. Jack, you must be tough to get like a 9 or a 10. It's like a solid 7. I liked it. Well, I guess liked it and loving, two different things. Tammy, an 8. A little bit higher. So it does look like several people bumped it up just a little bit, which is okay. We mentioned something last night that Fear the Walking Dead's version of Easter eggs are these little bouts with there's just some humor out there that adds a little bit of a different element to it. We got Valar super chatting. Thank you so much, Valar. Valar says, hello, 999. Army, Kill, Steph, Emmy, Kale, Sweet Tommy, sponsors, patrons, channel members, and of course, all the super chatters. And we got a lot. We got a lot of support from super chatters to sponsors to patrons. Thank you so much. You guys are absolutely phenomenal. And we're right around the corner from The Walking Dead. It's going to be a madhouse in here. You guys know it's been relatively light summer with some of the shows. We've kind of kept doing our thing with Fear the Walking Dead. But in a few weeks, we're going to be back talking about the real deal. So last night, we talked about kind of that moment. There were a couple of them. But I think the big kind of funny moment was the horse fogging up the window. And it's pretty warm in Texas, we assume. They weren't like shivering when they went into the pool. So the horse fogging up the window, and that actually saved them. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you back through a little bit of memory lane. We're going to go back from episode number 1. And I'm going to read the synopsis to it and the title of it. What I want you guys to think about going through this is how a lot of these summaries sound, well, they're very similar. So episode number 1, and when I read the summary, I want you guys to just tell me on the spot what you remember most about the episode. I'm going to give you a little bit of a reminder and we'll talk about it. So episode number 1 was Here to Help. And here's what it says. Led by Morgan and Alicia, the group lands in uncharted territory in search of survivors to help. Everything is not as it seems in this foreboding new land. So, episode number 1, if you guys remember, it was the voice over the radio and the plane crash. So, what was the most memorable, maybe most convenient, and most funny part of episode number 1? We're also going to check the memory of quite a few people as well and see if there was something that kind of really stuck. I agree, Ellis. I'm not disagreeing with you. It's because every episode is about the same. They are. And that story around the plane crash was it was almost half the season. The plane crash and the Rick reference at the end. This Crystal. Jack's like, well, I remember the plane crash. That's about it. The walker in the CRM suit. Yeah, but Viola, they didn't put the plane back together until much, much later on. That was like the whole first half of the season. Alicia using the plane blades. Kids right below the plane crashing. Alicia using the propeller as a weapon. Probably me as well. The Alicia and the propeller weapon. So, and hey, some of you said that you wanted me to read a bedtime story, so here you go. I'm going to read the synopsis to every one of these, so we're going to get through it. Episode number 2, The Hurt That Will Happen. All right, so remember the first one was led by Morgan and Alicia? Here we go, episode number 2. Morgan and Alicia meet a survivor and learn of a grave new walker threat. The mission is put to the test. When one of their own goes missing, Strand makes contact. All right, so episode number 2, Morgan and Alicia meet a survivor and learn of a grave new walker threat. So from that episode, The Hurt That Will Happen, I think that was the introduction of Grace. So they met Grace and Al disappears. Morgan got splashed by a radioactive walker and Grace is there to save him. Yep, Morgan's staff being taken. The radioactive walker is probably the most memorable. The Morgan shower. The creepy kids as well. So this is where we'll probably start remembering some of the coincidence type of things is, you know, Grace pulls up and she's just got the portable shower there just to kind of rinse him off. All right, episode number 3. This is where it got a little bit different, at least I thought episode 3 was one of the best, and you'll remember this little tidbit. Humbug's Gulch. June and John Dory take shelter to hide from a threat, but a misunderstanding with the desperate survivor leads to trouble. Alicia and Morgan face a dangerous obstacle. So, Alicia and Morgan, dangerous obstacle, that's the creepy kids, and June and John taking shelter. So, I would say episode number 3 was, yes, the San Antonio split, Roxanne. That's what I remember most. Dwight shows up. Yep, there you go. So the trick shot. So far in the first 3 episodes, and you know what? We'll break these down by 3 or 4 groups. So let's group the first 3 episodes together. So of all the things that we just read, what is the most memorable part of the first 3 episodes? If I had to speak, I would say the San Antonio split was the most, right? Viola agrees. Some people are going to say the plane. Dwight's introduction. Okay, so here's where fear is comical, but there's no fear. So if you can kind of juxtapose this to The Walking Dead. If we were here talking about 3 episodes of The Walking Dead, and the highlight of that was a Daryl crossbow shot or a Rick shot, I think we'd be a little concerned. And, tonight we're just going to be very open. We're going to be very honest. Not here to bash it, but I do just want to go through all the things that happened and read the titles because we've been pretty patient with it. All right, so let's start a brand new category. So episode number 4. Now this was my jam. This is my introduction. So episode 4 was titled Skidmark. Charlie makes a friend while Strand, Wendell, and Sarah's rescue mission hits a snag. Alicia, Luciana, and Morgan struggle to fulfill their mission. Okay. So in episode 3, we got the introduction. Well, you know what? Let's go back to 2. 2, we got the introduction of Grace. 3, we got the introduction of Dwight. And 4, we got the introduction of Skidmark and Daniel. Now, Daniel is still harboring a lot of ill will towards Strand, but we do find out that the reason Daniel kind of came around a little bit was his relationship with Charlie. So this does still kind of fit along with what we discussed, that the whole first half was about not killing and developing and introducing. Okay. Now this next title is a little bit confusing. So episode 5 was titled The End of Everything. Althea chases a story with dogged determination, putting the mission and her life in danger. So, this is the Althea issue. Some people said it kind of felt like filler in the beginning, but because of the attachment to Rick, several people said this was the best episode so far. So now we have yet another introduction. So we got Grace in 2, Dwight, Daniel, and Isabel. 4 straight episodes, 4 introductions. I think that's why it felt a little bit bogged down. And I would agree. I think episode 5 was the best up to this point. All right, episode 6, The Little Prince, facing impossible... Oh, hold on. The End of Everything. Can you think of the funny moment or the coincidental moment in The End of Everything? There were several in this one as well. The avalanche. Absolutely. The avalanche was one. And how about the rock climber? The rock climber being halfway up. Get a few of your comments mentioned in here. Mariah thinks Logan's character was a missed opportunity. You know, he was always a pawn. And we called that out relatively early. We just didn't see the evil in Logan. But boy, he got gunned down in a hurry. What's up? Flamethrower in the house. Flamethrower super chat and says just stopping by for a second. They got my dad's heart problems under control. He was able to come home today. See y'all soon. That is great news, Fluff. I am, our thoughts and prayers are going out to your dad, and absolutely glad he was able to come home. And good to see you as well. I know you've had a lot of stuff going on, so definitely thanks for popping in, man. If you guys are just tuning in for the first time or watching the playback and you see, some of the comments and some of the mentions, and our viewers have been here for a long time, this is a very, very tight-knit forum, very tight-knit group of people. So, we won't bash other channels, but if you're looking to hang out with a group that is a really mature group that supports each other, this is where you want to hang out. Will the Bill super chat and says, you guys take care. Fluff. Absolutely. So thanks. Appreciate both you guys. And he's only going to get stronger, Fluff. All right. We are going to, sometimes mature. Well, hey, we have random things tomorrow. So I've heard that it tends to get a little chaotic and does go a little astray on Tuesday nights, but mostly. All right, so episode number 6, The Little Prince. Facing impossible odds, Luciana and the group work together to tackle an impossible task while Morgan's help prevents disaster. An old friend presents Sarah, Charlie, and Strand with a solution. The Little Prince. What was the Fear the Walking Dead coincidental moment in The Little Prince? Yes, absolutely, Jack. The hot air balloon. Or the hot beer balloon. With that heavy propeller. Now, I don't think we got introduced to any new characters. So that kind of broke the trend a little bit. Okay. Episode 7. Now, episode 7, the rhetoric was really building up, because this is where Will the Bill and myself were probably sending out rap tunes of when June was going to die. So many of us thought it was going to be around 7, around 8. June ain't going to make it much longer. Somebody on this show has to die eventually. And it's appropriately titled, Still Standing. And the synopsis is, Strand and Charlie seek safety. Dory helps Dwight on his quest. Morgan stays focused on the greater mission. And Alicia refuses to give up. So, still standing. What do you remember most? Alicia fighting for the kids? Speeches. Yeah, there were some speeches here. Gulp of the Walker blood. Will said I slept through this one. Alicia getting radioactive blood on her. Well, I mean, you don't fight walkers with your mouth open. Walker blood was most memorable. This is also this was the one where John found the note in the glove compartment. So, I mean, I think that was rather memorable, too. It was memorable that Dwight didn't shoot him. Yeah, we did. I thought, well, I didn't think he'd kill John, but I definitely thought they would go at it. We got Leonard Benedetto, super chatting. Thank you so much, Leonard. Good to see you. Appreciate that. Give us a follow-up comment. Leonard, somebody you'd like to shout out or, something we can get a permanent part of this video as well, but appreciate that. But I would agree. I think Alicia drinking the radioactive Walker blood was probably the most memorable. All right, so we've got the mid-season finale, and certainly there's going to be some big death in the mid-season finale. Leonard, thank you so much. Leonard says, just love your insight. I love talking about the show, and more than that, I love hanging out with you guys every night. So appreciate it. I'm glad it's appreciated, but my insight is a lot of everybody's insight because we just, we lay it all out on the table and have some good candid discussions. And I can't wait to start talking about The Walking Dead again. It is just around the corner. Hey, you guys do me a favor. If you guys are hyped up about The Walking Dead right before we talk about the mid-season finale, give this video a thumbs up. If you guys are going to be with us all season long, we're going to be here almost each and every night talking a lot about The Walking Dead, but we are going to add our PDL game. That's going to be one of our nights. We're going to start playtesting that a little bit more. If you guys don't know what PDL is, our Play Dead Live, it is a live-action role-playing, lot of fun. We do different scenarios every week, and you guys sort of shape that. So really looking forward to that. So the mid-season finale, I mean, we thought there has to be a death here. And some of our predictions then was, well, let me read the synopsis, and then we'll talk about what some of our predictions were. Up against the clock, Morgan, Grace, and Alicia work to buy time. Dory and Dwight race against the elements. Sarah and Wendell get help from an unexpected source. So, this episode, remember the predictions? And it was Morgan, Grace, somebody's going to get caught behind. There's going to be an explosion, and they're not going to make it. That radioactive wind it's either going to, Grace is going to be out there trying to fix it, and she's going to get kind of, sucked into some nuclear type of reactor. We had all kind of predictions, right? Nope. Didn't happen. In fact, we got June on the plane thinking that John's not going to make it. Oh, he ain't going to make it. He ain't going to make it. And sure enough, here they come around the corner. Plane's taking off. John and Dwight, they made it because nobody dies on Fear the Walking Dead. I mean, wouldn't it be at least kind of cool if somebody was running after the plane and they dove and they got like one hand, in kind of that open hatch, and then the plane took off and they were like, no, we're not going to make it over this hill. We got to get rid of some cargo. And whoever it was hanging on the end of the plane, they just had to make the tough decision of letting them go, like pushing them off, right? Something like a hard decision in Fear of the Walking Dead. But they didn't. They had the Christmas light runway. So what was the big coincidence is anybody out there in the mid-season finale? Wendell certainly had a close call. John's hat staying on his head. Well, we also had Logan just kind of pull up too. And, and then Luciana had that famous speech like, well, why should we trust you? And they didn't totally trust him, but we never saw that story play out either. Daniel showing up to help at the last minute. All right, so that's the first half of the season. All right, then we transitioned and we thought for sure they're going to come out with a bang. I caught a lot of heat. Many people messaged me and said, look, Kills, there's a lot of YouTubers out there, and they said the mid-season finale was great. So I'm going to ask you guys. I bashed it. That was probably in the first half. That was the first show I really unloaded on. For the most part, I was giving it 8s, and, I was like, okay, yeah, it's okay. We'll see what happens next week. It's got to be a death. There's got to be a death. And we got the mid-season finale, and I absolutely destroyed it. I dogged it. I said it was terrible for a mid-season finale, and there were other people that came out and said it was good. So, once again, okay, at least I got the pulse of most of you. I know a couple people liked it. Steph wants Skidmark to have his own episode. I would watch. Viola gave it a 1. A few people saying it was okay. Underwhelming, though. I agree with Jack. I think certainly underwhelming. I might have been a little too harsh on it, but I didn't walk away from it saying it was great. I didn't feel good about it, but I did say, you know what? They're going to come out of the gates in the second half, and they're totally going to redeem themselves. You guys probably saw Najee a couple minutes ago said the second half was better. Me and Najee might disagree a little bit on that because I'm going to go through the second half. And in fact, I had some good episodes in the second half, but I've also had my lowest rated ones of the whole season in the second half. Like really good, really bad, really good, really bad. We'll start out with Channel 4. So Channel 4 was the mid-season premiere, and it's where the tables are supposed to turn a little bit. So Channel 4, the group traveling in convoy doubles down on their mission to help survivors in an effort to encourage more survivors to reach out. Al, Luciana, and Charlie document Morgan and the gang on a dangerous mission to help a reclusive survivor. So, Channel 4. It started out with Logan. Or, Logan kind of walking behind. They kicked him to the curb. So the landmines. Dark Stars' second favorite episode. All right. Now, Channel 4 was, if I recall correctly, the highest that I had rated it. And I said that they redeemed themselves with the landmines. And here's why. Because all of this season, and we finally saw it, is I've been sort of charting the path of Morgan. I know we were frustrated with the Morgan speeches. But after they interviewed him, and then we see him willing to give his life, and then we saw the lady and her son and getting the medicine. To me, that was Morgan remembering or seeing what his wife's life would have been like if he were not there. Of course, the big coincidence, there were two. One was the walker that they killed happened to be the father with the medication. Big coincidence. But I think I rated this a 9 because I was anxious to progress the Morgan story. Now, many of you were disappointed by it. In fact, I think it was Julia Muse who gave it a very low score, like about a 7 or something. And then we talked, if memory serves me correctly, the reaction video was pretty long, and we drilled down to the landmines and a couple other things. And then, a lot of people took a step back and said, yeah, this actually was okay. That was one that I think talking about it actually helped us to find some good things in the show. All right. So then we got episode 10. 210 words per minute. Morgan and Grace search an abandoned shopping mall for supplies and to fulfill a dying man's wish, but the mission quickly turns to a fight for survival. Dwight's resolve to be a better man is tested. Okay. Thoughts on the shopping mall and what was the guy? Was the guy's name Ed? Shopping mall guy. Remote control car. So Grace, she wanted to get to the urgent care. She wanted to be tested. She wanted to see how long she had to live. And then she ended up not doing it at all. Marvelous One says my favorite. So it was 210 words a minute because Grace was listening to her iPod, really fast. She was like listening to these audio books, and she didn't think she had a lot of time. She's trying to get through as many as she can. And then that relationship, that bond with Morgan, really slowed things down for her again. She started listening to it a little bit slower. She didn't want to know. She's feeling good about things. Chuck. Sorry. He seemed like an Ed, but he was a Chuck. Yes. And he was looking up at the moon. So I was okay with this episode, and the episode also had Dwight Breaking Bad. This is where Dwight's kind of tied up, and one of Logan's men starts burning pictures of Sherry. So overall, I agree so far, Najee. I think the first two episodes, 9 and 10, they were redemption. I did not like the mid-season finale, but now I feel like, okay, we're still not killing anybody. How many people here wanted to see Dwight go berserk and just kill that dude because he was torturing him? But Dwight doesn't want to go back to a dark place. So I think the lack of death. Now look, Chuck died. And what they're doing is they're introducing characters just to kill them off. So they don't have to kill the big characters. And Maria, see, that's not bad. I agree with you. Grace turning on the ceiling star lights for Chuck. But let me ask a very straightforward question to the group. Well, I don't want it to be a loaded question. I'm just going to say it. The Chuck story would be nice, but do we need any more of those stories right now? We understand. We understand the group is out to help. That they want to save the day. But that's their whole MO right now. That's all they're really doing. They're not getting the upper hand on any bad guys. And every week it's like a nicer story and a nicer story. And I'm just, you know what? I'm just going to say it. Chuck was Jimbo the Beerbo. Would you guys agree? Same minor character, not a big deal. All right, Jimbo got a couple more episodes, left a balloon as his legacy. But, yeah, just another average character gone. Nobody we were attached to. All right, so that's 210 words a minute. So then the next week, episode 11. Things got interesting in episode 11. This is called You're Still Here. As Alicia struggles to find her new role in the convoy, she's drawn to mysterious artwork. A simple scouting trip is derailed when she and Strand are thrust into a conflict between desperate survivors. Morgan and Al hit a roadblock. So You're Still Here, episode 11. And you guys got it. What was the most memorable part of episode 11? Wes, right? Tree painting guy. Wes and his story. Wes, the artist. So what do you think was the biggest coincidence? What was the funniest moment from that? Now we know Wes needed to go back. Needed to get his book. No, there was one. There was one very distinct moment. It was when Wes shot the walker and then the bullet hit the window in the glass and the walkers were able to break through the glass because of Wes's bullet. Wes's stray bullet broke the glass. And other than Wes, I think the most memorable part of that episode was when Morgan and Al basically walk up and strong-arm Logan and they don't get gunned down in the back because of it. They really wanted that oil field. June Smith super chatting it up. What's up, June? Got to say I've been missing Fear, but I'm yelling to the top of my lungs, The Walking Dead in 20 days. Hey, Army, glad to be back in action. June, we are counting it down. We are absolutely counting it down. We're going to have a good time. I cannot wait. You know, I love the summer, but man, fall season, October is really all about The Walking Dead. And then, I don't want to be rude to Fear. How many people watch preseason football? Sometimes I feel like Fear is like watching preseason football, and then The Walking Dead is like watching the Super Bowl. Najee Watt super chatting says, I like the overall story, but I'm most disappointed because a strong Season 5 was necessary after Sharpie Lady in Season 4. Najee, I agree. I think maybe even a very strong season. And I think we are very patient with the new character introductions. All right, tell us the Grace story. All right, we know Dwight's looking for Sherry. We got that. Then Daniel's back. We got Daniel. He's kind of softened up his approach a little bit, but we got all the characters at least introduced. And then when we got through 11, something happened. I went on record as saying Season 5, Episode 12, up to that point, was probably the worst Fear the Walking Dead that I'd seen. And that's Nur Tamid. In search of a permanent home for the convoy, Charlie is drawn to a synagogue where she encounters a rabbi surviving on his own. Sarah and Dwight face unexpected foes. So, here's what I would like to say about this episode. I like the rabbi. I don't know that I needed a whole episode of the rabbi locking people up, a callback to Father Gabriel. I don't think I needed all of that to introduce him. I would have rather him been like a wandering rabbi and just wandered on to the group if we're going to introduce a brand new character. I'm totally cool with him. I like him. I think he's going to be a badass. But I would have liked... I don't know. I mean, I know the way Wes kind of came back into the fray. I would have liked something different for his introduction. We got Mariah Campisi super chatting. Fear writers need to kick it up a notch or two. So, if you've been a subscriber for a long time, you would probably know that you wouldn't drop in here to spam your channel and do it more than once. So, yeah. That's got to go. Will the Bill. Super chatting. Okay, so Forrest and Bubba pick up RJ and Michonne on the shrimp boat. They take them back to confront Ginny. Boom. Show merge. Okay, sorry, I had to get that out. Okay. I'm trying to visualize that. I'm trying to get it, Will, because I may not be a smart man, but I know what love is. I get it. Forrest Gump meets The Walking Dead, meets Fear the Walking Dead. Now we got a wide audience. What would really make it good if you had Lieutenant Dan? He's the one I think should be driving the shrimp boat. So episode 12, to me, and this is my personal take on it, it was the worst episode for several reasons. Now, in hindsight, I like the introduction of the rabbi. But there were so many things about this episode that just didn't get it. So, what was the most coincidental part of this episode? To a point where it was silly humor. The ladder. Using the horn. But the ladder. Look, there were several things that happened. Remember, well, one, Charlie just runs away. So it started out poorly because Charlie's out on her own thinking she can survive. Then she happens on to a rabbi who luckily didn't shoot first and ask questions later. He assumed it was someone hiding out. All right. Then he locked up his congregation. So we don't know, good rabbi, bad rabbi, what the deal is. But the ladder escape. Has anyone ever seen one of those sliding ladder things on the side of a building? Because I have a question. Can you just pull those apart? Like, here's my question. How did they take it off? Do those things just slide off or pop off somehow? Or are they like screwed in some way or another? I'm sorry. We're going to relive this nightmare of episode 12. I can't get it out of my mind. Okay, well, there you go. So the ladder just kind of came off. All right. Now, I got a question for you guys. If I need 2 volunteers. Because one thing I like about the show, when we analyze it, break it down, is I like to kind of put myself in the role, and I like for you guys to sort of put yourself in the role of the show. All right, so Wilson and Julia Muse, 2 volunteers. All right, so I need 1 more. All right, Steph volunteered. Okay, so Steph is with me. And Julie, you and Wilson are on top of a building. All right, so Steph and I, we put the ladder down and we walk across. Now, Julia and Wilson, give me something randomly that you might do to try to help us while we're going from car to car, and any wrong step could be the end of us altogether. Create distractions. There you go. This is not what the 2 of them were doing. In fact, when me and Steph get over to the last car, and, we're like lifting our leg up and shooting one of the walkers. Hey, Steph. We might have got ourselves in just a little bit over our head this time. Nope, kills. It's my fault. I've been looking for a new place for us to call home. Now, you don't be silly. Don't go on blaming yourself now. So that's what's going on. Now, meanwhile, we got Wilson and Julia up top. Can you shoot the walkers? I'm not wasting my ammo on them. Well, how did you get in this predicament in the first place? Well, I have to tell you the truth. About my congregation, They're having a conversation about what they did while John and June are down there. We don't get out of this. Well, we're going to get out of this. I mean, I don't know. They're not jumping over. They're not running for it. And then, out of the blue, Julia's going to look at Wilson and say, hey, got any loud music? Well, as a matter of fact, I do. They'll be all right for another 2 or 3 minutes while we climb down into the synagogue and start playing a horn that I know is there. We're not going to rattle anything up here to get their attention, to get them to turn around. So that's a little bit of what's going on. So Will the Bill says, maybe create distractions so you don't have to use ladders to start with. That's exactly it, Will. That's what made the show god-awful bad. It was terrible. And I know there's a certain amount of the humor and the comedy that we put up with because we come to like it. That, to me, was overboard. And Peter Graham Crops, that's exactly, the title is, where is the fear? There was none. So that was a huge, huge disappointment. If someone would have died in that episode, now, it got worse. We've got Sarah and Dwight. Remember Sarah and Dwight on top of the RV? Call back to Dale. So they've got a whole convoy, right? And a few pickup trucks pull up, and they leave everything behind. And instead of fighting and saying, you know what, we're gonna make them into some Swiss cheese, Sarah looks at Dwight. I don't even know what she said, but it was just something like, hey, D-Money, how do you like your shit sandwiches? You like them served up on rye or something? I don't know. She's always got some joke. And then Dwight looks at her and says, huh? Logan and his men, they're coming. We need to pack them. Get out of here. Oh, hell. Okay, let's go. And then there they go. So, in the end, the only thing that could have made it worse was June and Charlie, having their mother-daughter conversation about staying, leaving, leaving, all of those things. And then, thank goodness, we move on to episode number 14. I'm sorry, 13. I'm ready to skip ahead to 14. June Smith, Super Chat, kills. Do you think Morgan regrets going to Fear? And if so, should they bring him back to The Walking Dead? From a personal level, June, I think Lenny James got a huge raise to be the star of Fear. So from that regard, it's probably rewarding to be the leading man of the show. Because Morgan wasn't going to be the lead. As long as Negan, Michonne, Carol, Rick, Morgan was probably 7th, 8th in line. And his story was kind of drying out a little bit on The Walking Dead. So I think it was good for his arc, and I think it was good for the character. But the thing is, and I know we say this a lot, it's not done yet. And right after episode 12, we talked about, one key word we used is patience. We said this was bad. And then I think it was Ellis, might have been Najee, might have been Ellis and Najee actually said, you know what, Kills? They're saving it all for the last 2 episodes. And then we kind of all had a consensus. We all agreed, like, yeah, there's going to be this big event that's going to happen, and they're putting all their eggs in this basket. And I still believe that. I still believe that the last 2 episodes are going to be very, very good. Which takes us to episode 13. Episode 13, I thought, was a good rebound. Episode 13, synopsis says, Logan's motives are revealed. Sarah, Dwight, and Luciana negotiate for the sake of the mission. Strand and Alicia race to the aid of a new survivor. In a familiar place, a dangerous threat emerges. So what was the big Fear the Walking Dead coincidence in episode 13? Leave what you don't. And I thought it was a good episode. But once again, we've got that moral dilemma. Actually, you know what? We had a moral dilemma and we had karma all in the same episode. So yes, the coincidence was that Alicia and Strand ran out of gas at the same place Logan did. Now, there was the moral aspect, there was karma, and there was also irony. I'm going to give a Kills coin to the first person that can tell me what the irony was that I'm thinking about that happened in this episode. Something very specific, and it was extremely ironic. Close. No. It does have something to do with Logan. And you guys are absolutely right about the oil field. That's not what I'm thinking about, though. It could be anything with fear. This one is a little bit tougher, and it's spread out. All right, I'm going to get a couple more here. All right, a couple of you guys are close, but here's the irony. Nobody's kind of nailed it down perfectly. The irony is that Logan was on the radio talking to the girl, telling her to kill herself. She did not. But then Logan actually got shot in the head. So Logan was trying to tell her to shoot herself in the head, and then somebody actually shot Logan. Yes, actually Gina Crockett got it. Perfect. While I was discussing it. Gina Crockett gets the Kills coin. He told the girl to shoot herself in the head, and that's how he died. Absolutely. So Gina just under the radar. And it was like the ultimate in karma, right? Just go ahead. I left that gun for you. No one's going to get there to save you. And it never happened, but it happened to him. Beautifully, beautifully done. And that's why I thought this was such a good bounce back episode. Now, there was some cheesiness and some corniness to it with the whole they couldn't fire in the oil fields, but Ginny didn't have any problem. Plus, we got the introduction of Ginny, and we brought Wes back. That in itself is worth points. Those two items are worth points. So I thought this was a great rebound after the worst episode I've ever watched of Fear the Walking Dead. So they kind of got me back in the fray. And then that brings us to this past week. And this past week, I was a 7.5. And some of you dipped back down on the radar. And so let me start with this. Najee said this a little bit earlier. So based on that, I do think the second half has been slightly better. I don't think they had the big... Well, I guess they did, because to me, the midseason finale was a big tank episode, and in the second half, it was 12. So I do think the second half was slightly better. Part of it is because I like Ginny and I like Wes. So those two characters, and now we know what Logan was doing, but I don't feel like 14 was that big slam dunk that I wanted. I thought after 13 it was getting good, 14 would be great, and 15 and 16 would be wow. Now we in the season. But I guess the biggest problem that I had with 14, and I'm going to ask you guys, the coincidence was the horse. But here's something in last night's episode that really did not make any sense. And Tom. Let's talk about Tom. Why was Tom stealing fuel to put it in an abandoned car? Why didn't Tom just steal the truck? Because even Morgan or Al, one of them said, even if you get the fuel in there, the battery's probably not going to work. But you see a truck that just pulled up, truck's probably going to work because it probably has a good battery. And you're going to have to hotwire it either way. Who was Tom running from? So he's trying to leave, but yet he's worried about his sister. So why did he leave his sister? He running from the homeowners association. I mean, he's running, but then all of a sudden he's worried about his sister. So just a few things that didn't, I know they had to throw it out there and tie it in with Alicia's story to give her incentive to go back. But once again, we're introduced to a brand new character. Now, we did get to see a lighter side of Ginny. Ginny, two fingers in the jam. Now, is anybody else wondering? Now, clearly, they make pretty good jam, right? I mean, it was canned, it was well sealed, all of the above. So they certainly have the resources to make a nice, clean jar of jam. Do they not have spoons? Could she not have brought 2 spoons up with the 2 jars? She took special effort to bring 2 jars of jam and did not even offer them a spoon. That, ladies and gentlemen, is for impact. They wanted Ginny to sit down on that couch, to throw her cowboy boots up there, and to eat that jam with her fingers. And to throw some neat lines out there. And I agree with you. Will the Bill said that's his new favorite character. It was very deliberate. They wanted her to show that she's got that I don't give a, she doesn't care. And I did think she did a good job. And she's got these looks on her face that you can't read her. So now I have to ask you again. Based on the 14 episodes that we saw, was there any scene, anything that happened, any part of it that had you afraid in the first 14 episodes? Not really. Okay, follow-up question and we're going to wind it down. With 2 episodes to go, do you feel like we have the potential for Ginny to create a fear moment, much like something that we've grown accustomed to from The Walking Dead? Because I don't think the last 2 episodes are going to be funny. I think there's going to be something that goes down. Now, they might not be able to transition us to a fear scenario this season, but if they plant the seed of something borderline cruel happening, it might be able to change the vibe into next season. And to get us a little bit more prepared for a more twisted type of fear. Because through the first 10, 11, 12 episodes, they didn't deliver. I'm sorry, it just didn't happen. Now we're starting to see a little bit of it. It's possible that they could transition that. All right, and I do have one more question. Is anybody here afraid of what Alpha might do to some people this season? How many people think that Alpha and Beta are going to go full-scale beast mode this year? I am too. I'm afraid of Alpha, and it's dark. You better run. Y'all people killed my people. There will be conflict. Alpha is going to cause some conflict this year. I think Ginny might get us there as well. Hey, everybody, this is Fear the Walking Dead, Season 5, Episode 14. Maybe the fear is right around the corner. I do think the next 2 episodes are going to be big. I would be mind blown if they didn't save the best for last. And I think it's going to be more up-tempo, less stories, less introductions. We're going to get to see all this stuff. There's going to be a little bit of a chase this time. The gas has been a big deal. It looks like they're probably going to start running out of gas. They're going to be trapped. So Ginny is going to have the upper hand, and they are watching, just like Alpha is always watching. You guys have been absolutely great. We're going to be back here tomorrow night with Random Things. Got some good topics during random things. We'll have a Fear of the Walking Dead topic or a Walking Dead topic. Then we're going to get some games, some conversations, some chats, just some regular happenings. Wednesday, we're going to be back with, actually, Wednesday could be open. Hold tight. We will either stream Wednesday or Thursday. We may take one of those 2 days off, or we may stream all week long. But Wednesday's up in the air. We will be back Thursday with bold predictions. And, of course, Friday is going to be Freestyle Friday with a little bit of a dose of Play Dead Live. And Kel and I have been talking a little bit behind the scenes. And one of the things that we are going to do in the very near future is we are going to get back to Freestyle Fridays being Freestyle Fridays, and then get that PDL on a separate night. And when we go live with it, it'll definitely be on a separate night, but we might start to transition that out sooner rather than later. I want to thank each and every one of you for being here. Special shout out to all the Patreons, Patreon Army, top left-hand corner. In the top right-hand corner, we got channel members, and yes, we did just have a whole lot of people hit 6 months, so that list is about to be updated. The moderators, Emmy, Steph, Madi, I can't talk. I'm done. You know what? An hour and 40 minutes, I'm tapping out. That's it. I can't say another word. The moderators, Emmy, Steph, Tommy, and Kel, thank you so much for everything that you guys do. And also the super chatters. Thank you for your contribution, being a part of the stream. Look, when you've been on vacation for about a week, you get back, and I think I speak fast just by nature, but I don't know. One of these streams, I'm going to go back and count how many words I actually used. It's probably, what was that episode called? 210 words a minute? Yeah, that's me. All right, everybody, thank you so much. Have a good night. I will see all of you guys tomorrow night for Freestyle Friday. Wheel of Bill super chatting it just under the radar. Says good night, Army, and good night to each and every one of you. Peace.